Hey everyone, and thank you for joining me again. Before I talk about my journey, I would like to share with you all about my little boy Caleb in his life. Caleb wasn't with us very long. He was born on April the 26th of 2004 and passed away suddenly on March the 29th of 2008. So he was about a month from turning 4 years old when he died. But being Caleb's mama has been quite the experience. In the fall of 2003, I had been divorced from my first husband, and I wasn't in a serious relationship. And one evening, I was eating dinner when I got sick. And one of my friends I was talking to was like, "You're not pregnant, are you?" And I was just like, "No, I can't be pregnant. It's probably just this food that I've eaten." So I go ahead and take a pregnancy test just to ease my mind. And the result is positive. And I'm pretty upset about this because prior to this, when I was married, I wanted to have children very badly, but it just didn't happen at that time. And I had grown kind of resentful and bitter about it. So I was just like, well, if I don't have any children by the time I'm 30, then I'm just not going to have any, and that's that. But God's timing is perfect. Because lo and behold, at the age of 29, I have a positive pregnancy test. But I did not like that result, so I proceeded to take 3 more, which were all positive, and I cried for 3 days because this wasn't the way I had planned it. So I go to my OBGYN and find out that I'm actually 11 weeks pregnant. I had absolutely no morning sickness with Caleb at all. Caleb's biological father was not in the picture after he found out that I was pregnant. But I began dating someone that assumed the father figure role. I won't talk about him a whole lot because of events that happened after Caleb died. But at my OBGYN practice, there were several doctors, and you had to see all of them during your pregnancy so that whoever was on call when you delivered your baby would have your history. And I had an appointment for my ultrasound, and I was seeing one of the doctors that I didn't particularly care for. And he told me that he saw a spot on Caleb's brain. And he said, "We will check it again. If it's still there, then you can make the decision whether or not you want to terminate your pregnancy." This pregnancy was not going as I had planned, but terminating my pregnancy was never an option for me. So I liked the doctor even less at this point. As I got closer to my due date, I had an appointment with one of the other doctors that I did like, and I asked him if I could travel to Chattanooga because the father figure's family was from there and they wanted to have a little baby shower for me. So he said, "Oh yes, that should be fine. You've still got a couple of weeks to go. It should be okay." Chattanooga is about an hour and 45 minutes away. So we go to the baby shower, and my sister, her husband, and their 2 boys go with us. And after the baby shower, we go to Coolidge Park there in Chattanooga. And I can't remember if both of my nephews were on the carousel or maybe just the youngest one when my water breaks. So I get in the car and I call the hospital and I'm just like, "Hey, my water broke. I'm in Chattanooga. I'm on my way." Well, the nurse on the other end starts freaking out, telling me that I have to get to the nearest hospital. And I begin to argue with her, saying, no, the doctor said that I could travel and I am not having my baby in Chattanooga. So after a few minutes of this arguing, she tells me, well, okay, but if you start having contractions or feeling the urge to push, you have to get to the nearest hospital. So I was okay with that. And we make it to the hospital. And who is on call but none other than the doctor I don't like. So I start telling my boyfriend, I'm not having this baby while he's here. He is not going to deliver my baby. And I was in labor for about 8 hours with Caleb. And thankfully, the doctor that I did like was the one that delivered Caleb. And I had a difficult delivery. I had a 4th degree tear, and from what I understand, that's the worst that you can have. But even with all that, when I saw my son for the first time, it was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. The hospital done an echogram while we were there, and they told us it was abnormal. So Caleb had me on my toes, even from birth. And we had to take him to Children's Hospital to have another one done, which thankfully came back okay. One of the things that I regret is that 2 weeks after Caleb was born, I had to return to work. And I wish that I had spent more time with him after he was born, but I was just trying to provide for my son. As Caleb got a little bigger and began to walk, we realized that his little legs were not straight. So we took him to Shriners in Lexington, and after a few visits there, they told us that they did not think that he would need to have braces on his little legs. But also, Caleb's speech was not developing at the rate it should for his age. This is when we found out that Caleb was slightly autistic and had delayed speech. So Caleb didn't talk a lot. He would say like one word or 2 or 3 word sentences that he had learned like on Mickey Mouse Clubhouse or some of the little Disney shows. And I never got to hear Caleb say I love you to me. But we had a bond that didn't require words. And we still have that bond now. So even though Caleb was here for such a short time, I'm so thankful that I have all of these precious memories that will sustain me until I am reunited with him. So my next video will be about when Caleb died, which marks the beginning of my journey. Thank you all for watching, and I sincerely appreciate all of your support more than I would ever be able to tell you. Until next time, see ya.